Life Audio.
Hey friend, Heather Creekmore here. Thanks for listening to the Compared to podcast. Today is another one of our live coaching calls, and I'm coaching my client and my social media manager, Presli, again today. If you haven't listened to our other episodes, you can go back and search for them at improvedbodyimage.com/podcast. You can find all the episodes with Presli just by dropping her name into the search bar there. But Presli and I are going to a place that you can probably relate to. The question overarching all of Presli's concerns is like, what do I do if I just don't feel comfortable around other people? Like, I'm kind of afraid of what others think of me. I want to be approved of by them. Like, how do I get over this insecurity I feel around people who I feel like are thinner or better looking than me? That's where we're going today. If you're new to this show, welcome. We tackle tough topics like this every time, but my goal, my hope, my heart is to give you better answers than just love yourself or just remember that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. That's true, but I think there's richer biblical answers for these body image issues, for this insecurity that we feel, and that's where we go on this show every single week. Hey, I'm glad you're here for today's episode. Let's get to this coaching call with Presli. Presli, welcome back to
Hello.
another coaching session. And you are bravely and boldly being coached in front of the whole world.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm glad that you have the courage to come back and do this again. And I know you've been in your head a lot. I know there's a lot of things going on. Why don't you just share some of what's going on in that head of yours? And trust me, we all are in our heads a lot with this stuff. So you're not alone. But why don't you just share what's been going on for you?
Yeah, so I was really excited to do this coaching call and get to talk to you about all the stuff that I talk about alone to myself with in my head. So yeah, something that has come up and you've talked about it before, but it's different to just talk about it with you, my specific thing. So, like I will be at my mother-in-law's or somewhere, or my sister-in-law will show up, and she's that person that is dressed to the T, like her outfit is always cute. She's super fit, like, and like she just had a baby. Like I think the baby's 3 months old now, and she's like instantly fit again. Like she just had the baby fit. That did not happen for me.
Mhm.
So I just noticed like lately, because I feel like before I was I wasn't thinking that way, but it just like crept up on me again. Like when I see her, I'm like, oh, she's so fit. She looks so good always. And she's like the embodiment of grace and love, and she's humble and sweet, and so everything seems perfect, and I just get in my head about it, and I notice I start to feel insecure. I can feel myself like literally sweat around her, and
Mhm.
I feel like, oh, I'm so inadequate. And even to the point her husband is also fit. He's like bodybuilder looking guy, and around them I feel like such a peasant. Like I feel like I just want to crawl inside myself, and like say we're eating dinner together or something, I don't even want to eat because I feel like everybody's watching every bite I take, because like
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I get in my head
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, I know you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so when we have a problem, right, something we obsess over, we think of ways to fix it, right? So where does your brain go to fix it?
I feel I feel like I kind of clam up, and
Hmm.
like as I'm not relating to her anymore.
Hmm.
I can't just be a person. Like I can't have a conversation or anything because I'm so stuck in my head. And I honestly, I grab my phone and I start to look busy. or I
Mm,
try to leave like, oh, I've got something to do at the house. Nice to
yeah.
see you. Bye-bye. So I
Yeah.
guess I kind of run.
Well, so it's kind of interesting, right? Because like you know what that's called, right? Like it's a stress response, right? You're kind of going into
Flight.
fight or flight, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I mean, you're hiding, you're fleeing, right? You're getting away. And so what happens in that moment, right, is your body's like, uh-oh, I'm in danger. I am
right.
threatened. I am not safe here. I can't compete. I'm losing. Um, and so you can't even
Yeah,
use your prefrontal cortex. You can't even use like the thinking part of your brain and say nice Bible verses to yourself and remind yourself that you're fearfully and what like you don't even have access to that, right?
exactly.
It's just like tiger in the room. What do I do? Right?
Yep.
Um, it's probably funny to think about your sister-in-law as a tiger because I want to be very clear of that, right? Like this is nothing, like she's not doing anything wrong, right? It's just
Right.
how you're responding to her. So let's talk about what's true. Are you
Uh,
unsafe when you're with her?
no, not really. Well, so there's like, because most people aren't in the body image freedom mindset. They
Right.
haven't experienced anything. So the conversation does lead a lot to dieting. It does lead a
Mhm.
lot to picking yourself apart. Like, okay, so we were at a barbecue at my mother-in-law's house, and my other sister-in-law showed up. She's losing weight, and that's another thing we can talk about later. But so my sister-in-law, that my tiger sister-in-law, she um said to my other sister-in-law, wow, it looks like you've lost weight. Your shoulders look smaller and everything. And since I've done all this work with you, I thought, oh, what an ugly thing to say.
Mhm.
Like, and I know she was trying to be kind and relate to her. So then, like, so there are times, it's not that she's unsafe, but a lot of the time the conversation does go back to bodies and how we look and do you look small? And then I think, do you look small? Do you look put together? So we all kind of apologize for the way we look still. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry I showed up looking raggedy. Ugh, I'm sorry that, I'm still overweight. Oh. So the conversation does get unsafe. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why, because it doesn't feel like a safe space for all bodies yet.
Well, it's interesting that you said a safe space for all bodies, right? Because that's not who's showing up. It's people that are showing up, but how they're assessed
Right.
or related to is just as bodies, right? And so
Yeah.
you're right. That is unsafe to go into a scenario where you are just seen as a body or seen for your body. Although I think that's probably only half true, right? I just wonder to what degree that element is present, but then also if there is more, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I don't think they're necessarily like saying Presley, you're not welcome here because you're not one of us. Right.
Right. They
Yeah,
would never say, yeah.
right. So the truth is you're not being rejected.
Right.
You're kind of self-rejecting on their behalf.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because it's like my thought process is like scrambling for something.
So it's like we talk about in the 40 journey, but I think also in the course, the body image freedom framework course when we do coaching. And I know you've gone through that too, but it's the
Yeah.
economy thing, right? Like you're showing up and saying, and you're showing up and trying to like have one foot in their economy, right? Like, okay, I know I'm valuable here if I talk about weight loss and look a certain way and, try to like compete with the tools of that economy. And yet you got one foot in the other economy, which I would say like maybe more like God's economy of like, no, I know what's really valuable about me is not that. right? And what do I always say, Presley? What happens when you're straddling the fence? You get a sore crotch, right?
Yeah.
That's never going to feel good. So let's talk about what to do. Okay. So, first, I think any envy you got to take care of because
Yeah. And it's
envy,
definitely,
yeah, envy is a sin. And whenever we are trapped in that sin or any other sin, right, we give the enemy a foothold in our lives. We give him an entrance way. We're saying, I am I'm bonded with you, Satan, in this sin, so to speak, right? Yeah, I'm gonna allow for this. And then he has access, like he can put those thoughts in because they just glom onto that envy and can, start you spiraling. And so I would say first and foremost, right, we take care of the envy, right? Confess it
yeah.
to the Lord. Maybe even, I don't know if you listened to the episode I did with Erin Adkins Eddy. She's so sweet. It was such a great show. And she
Okay.
talked about telling her friends that
Yes.
she was jealous of
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
And what that did for their relationship. And I actually shared, I think I shared in The Burden of Better compared to, I don't remember, or Comparison Free Life. It's not called The Burden of Better anymore. But I think I shared in one of those books about doing that as well, like telling someone that I had always been envious of them. So there is something interesting that happens when you do that.
It exposes it.
Right. And some people can't handle it. Like some people are just going to be really uncomfortable, right? They're going to be like, okay, whatever, right? But then some people are going to be willing to go a little deeper. Like, wow, I can't believe you're jealous of me. Like, I'm jealous of how like bold you are. I'm jealous of how you handle things or whatever. And so it could be interesting to pray about whether or not that's what the Lord wants you to do too, because that could change your relationship with her. Um, but but whenever there's envy, there's the opportunity for you to just be in your head over these things, right? So first take care of the envy, right?
Yeah.
And then second, I think you have to stop believing the lie that their lives are perfect because they're losing weight. Because Presley,
Yeah.
you know, you've lost weight before. Did that make your life perfect when you lost weight?
It was even worse.
Right, right. Okay, so let's go. Tell me about it. Like, remind yourself here. Tell me about what happened. Like, hopefully everyone's listened to your butter incident the last time we did this coaching call. But like, who was that Presley? Who was Presley on a weight loss journey? Tell me about her.
So narcissistic, so self-absorbed. Yeah, so I don't think I ever mentioned this. Maybe I did, but I was so crazy about wanting to fit into a size 10
Mm.
that I went to the store and I poured myself into a size 10 jeans and they were so uncomfortable. I don't even think I could breathe, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm in this size 10. And I don't know what kind of reward I thought that was because I looked crazy in them. Like it looked like I was wearing little kids' pants. But anyway, so it gives you, that's one part of it. It gives you like this form of psychosis, like what you're willing to do
Mm.
to wear this size or to like lose this last 5 pounds. And I'm saying last 5 pounds in quotes because like when you lose that last 5 pounds, it's like, oh, I could lose five more.
Right.
And then I would finally be happy. Then I will look like I want to look because you maybe reach your goal weight and then you see that I don't look like I wanted to look. And you just get more obsessed and more obsessed. I couldn't eat with my family. I mean, I was like rage embodied.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And some of that is emotional, right? Some of that's just like physical because we're hungry, right? When we're dieting and so focused on that goal of, I want to get to this size and I'm not going to eat, it just makes you angry. It really does. You're just like, "Ugh, I'm going to bite your head off, knock your head off, whatever." Like,
Yeah,
you're just
so true.
mean, right? A-
Yeah.
It's because you're hungry. Like, um, And also you're like, I don't know, like a wild caged animal, right? You're in restriction, which is the cage. You can't have food freely. So you're just, I don't know, a wild bull in there, like, let me out.
Steeped in cortisol.
Right, right. It's all cortisol. You're right. Because when you don't have, I'm so glad you said that because you only have two things that you can run on. Like a body can only run on, like cars can only run on gas, right? But your body, God was so gracious to us to give us an alternate system if there's not food. So for those times when there's a famine in the land, which doesn't happen here very much in the United States, um,
Yeah.
but but God made it so we could run on these stress hormones and our bodies could keep going if we didn't feed them. But we're not designed to run on stress hormones forever, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, when you aren't running on food, remember you're not, I don't know, like what I thought all those years I wasn't running on food. I guess I thought, here's what I thought. I thought I was running on the fumes of my melting fat. That's what I thought I was running on, right?
Yeah,
Like
me
my,
too.
my fat was melting and it was like emitting like gasoline fumes. And that's what I was,
Yeah.
that's how I was subsisting. But that's not just not
Yeah.
true. Like you're running on cortisol, right? You're running on hormones, and then your hormones get out of balance. And I don't know about you, but when my hormones are out of balance, like I'm not exactly a happier person. Like that's a recipe for anger, right? So all of this was to remember what Presley was like when she was chasing that, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't a better version of Presley,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely not.
It wasn't. Okay. And I think the challenge now is you feel like you're watching other people do it all, right? Oh, well, look, they're living like this kind of life and they're doing these other things. And, they're able to pursue Jesus and weight loss. They're able to, pursue having this kind of family and weight loss. And it looks like they're doing it all well. Maybe they
Yeah.
are, maybe they aren't. But this isn't about them and the path they're on. This is about
Right.
you,
Yeah, I hear
right?
Jesus. What's it to you?
Wait, say
What's
that
it to
again,
you?
Presley. Say that again a little louder.
I hear Jesus saying, "What's it to you?"
What's it to
Like, what's it
you?
to you about her?
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so many times I would say, right? Like I don't know if this is true of your sister-in-laws, but we're all on our own journeys, right? So who knows if there will be a point at their journey where they come to the same crossroads you came to. Like, I'm sick of spending my whole life trying to diet. I'm sick of chasing a thinner body. Like, I want something more from life. Maybe they'll come to that point. Maybe they won't, right?
Yeah.
But what they do can't affect what you know to be true of you. I don't like, let's take this to money because I think it's always interesting to think about this outside of the realm of bodies, right? Like we all probably know someone who's like seems to be doing really well at getting rich, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know the whole story. We don't know how much time away from home they're sacrificing to get rich or, how much sleep they're sacrificing to get rich. Like we don't really know those details. But as we watch them go by on our social media or like see them like up front or something, we think, wow, like they're doing it. They're achieving something. Like, wow. And look at us look at the blessings that come with it. And I'm using the word blessings a little bit sarcastically, but look at what they're earning, right? Like, oh, look, they've got all this. They've got all this wealth. That's really what happens to us in this body image equation, right? Because we view when you have body image issues or you're struggling with a body image idol, you view bodies as a sign of wealth, right? It's
Yeah.
not actual like money wealth, but like, oh, like that person has value, right?
Yeah.
Because they have figured out how to pursue this kind of wealth and they're doing it well.
Yeah.
right? But there's always more to the story. And that's not what God's called you to.
Yeah. Well, I do now that you reminded me.
you know, it, it's oh man, I was at a church last weekend and I loved I just the pastor did such a knockout job of talking about idolatry in terms of brochures. And I was like, dude, that's just genius. Because it's like the weight loss brochure, the get skinny brochure, the like do this fitness plan brochure, all of those brochures try to sell you like if you can just do this, life will be amazing. Like, oh wow, like everything is just going to come together. Like birds are going to sing and rainbows are going to just like appear in the sky. And every morning
Yeah.
will be bright sunshine and a cool breeze. And I mean, it's just like, whoa. And I mean, I would say, it's funny. I would say most of us with body image issues probably don't care anything about like well, we care some about nature, but it's more like for us, the sunshine and rainbows is like, ooh, I can wear that single digit size and I
My
could
husband
just,
could pick me up effortlessly
oh,
and hold
oh
me in
man,
the
Presley, don't
air.
even get me started. Like I wanted to do a whole post on how triggering it is to see those like him carry her over the threshold, like in any like video or movie or whatever. So it was like, oh,
It hurts.
yeah, yeah, that didn't happen. My husband blamed his back problems, but I don't know that was necessarily true. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, don't get me started there. But it's those kind of things, those images, right? And so thinking about a brochure, like the images on the brochure, like, oh, he could just
Oh,
toss me up in the air while I'm wearing a super cute outfit, you know, um, hair, like everything is just like flawless. And I look like I belong on a brochure because I bought what that brochure was selling me. But
yeah.
you know the reality.
Yeah.
So what does your heart really want?
Hmm. I don't know now that you asked.
I
I
mean,
think I
like,
just want, like, in those moments when my sister-in-law shows up, I want to be able to engage with her and with everyone there without feeling like running away.
mhm,
And I think that, like, remembering what you said, I feel strong again, like I
mhm,
used to feel, but I forgot. I forgot. I forgot the truth. And that in those moments, I think I forgot it so deeply that I didn't, because I feel like in the beginning, I could call on those truths and it emboldened me to
mhm.
stay, but I forgot. So I needed to go. And I feel like in my brain, as soon as I see her, all these tabs are open in my brain, like planning my next diet. How can I make myself acceptable to be here and all this stuff? Then I just needed to, remembering that truth would have closed all those tabs.
Yeah.
But I have too much stuff open and I need to run.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me just back up a second because I want to be clear. I said, what does your heart want? Well, the heart is deceitful. Like who could know it, right? So I didn't really
Yeah.
mean that. But what I meant
Okay. Yeah.
was like, what do you long for? Right. And I think maybe you can fill this in if I'm not hitting it. Like you just long to be accepted,
Yeah.
right? I mean, would you put other words to it, Press?
Um, it's accepted. Yeah. And I think at peace, like
Mm,
relaxed there. Like I forgot again, it's okay to just be me.
yeah.
If my thighs touch, My stomach after kids looks like a dog chewed it up. It's okay.
Yeah. Is it okay to be you?
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like not.
Yeah. It doesn't feel safe
Yeah.
to go back to that
Feels
word.
super exposed or something.
Yeah. Whose voice do you think it is in your head when all those tabs are open and you are like being flooded with the like, I don't know, the fear of the tiger, if you will, right? Like, is there anyone's voice in your head that you can recognize there?
Honestly, it feels like it's me,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's this subconscious absorbed messages of culture and family and just everything that's kind of ingrained. So it feels like me, but I don't know if because I haven't formulated my own opinion and internalized like what's okay and what's not okay for me.
Yeah.
Like how you always talk about agency because your episodes on agency were like, agency, I have agency.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually just listening to something yesterday. And it was a podcast interview with a woman who like did like a zillion exercise videos in the 90s. Like she was, the person leading the exercise video.
Yeah,
And like the whole interview was her basically telling this interviewer like how ridiculous it is that pretty much the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, like all we did was convince all fitness influencers and diet influencers did was convince women that they could not make their own decisions, like that they could absolutely not be trusted. And so she kind of like I mean, she was mocking a little bit, but it was like so right on. And she wasn't trying to be mean, but just like how she would like put out a plan. And the plan would be
yeah,
like you do, legs on Wednesday and abs on Thursday. And how like she would get like hundreds of emails like, was it okay if I do abs on Wednesday and legs on Thursday? And she was like, of course it is. Like what? Like, how could that matter? But people were so like, no, I can't, I
your
I can't
formula,
deviate. You have to do it exactly perfectly as planned. And then you
right?
fail. And then you fail and you fail and you fail. And then it's like, well, I'm a failure. Okay, I'm gonna like I'm a failure. I suck. I just couldn't do it. That's why I don't look like her. And then you like build up the courage again, go on the plan again, try to get it perfect. And again, you can't get it perfect, fail. And it's like this repeating cycle. And the problem behind it all is just not being able to add any of like your own intelligence to it, right? To have your own
Yeah,
opinion, to say, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, I can drink cream in my coffee, even though that might break my intermittent fast or like whatever. She used a couple examples like that, how people were like paranoid over like, 15 calories, that kind of like ridiculous things that we were so
yeah,
stressed over. And so I say all that to remind you, right? That you do get to decide. I don't want to say it like this because it sounds too culturally like wrong, right? But you have to decide to believe the truth. No one can
yeah,
decide that for you. You have to
yeah,
decide, right? And that's kind of that big faith, little faith thing that I talked about a few weeks ago on the show, right? Like
yeah. I
I
love that.
know, I know that you're going to heaven. I know that you have a big faith, that Jesus is your savior and you believe that he died on the cross for your sins. But you have to
Yeah,
decide what you believe about yourself, what you believe gives you
yeah,
value and worth.
yeah. Because I feel like if I believe that in those smaller moments or those day-to-day moments, then that would be a huge mindset shift for social situations.
Right.
Like I can tell you, like one of the most triggering experiences recently, or not recently, but last time we went to a water park with my sister-in-law, and she had just maybe just had her baby or so. I don't remember, but she was in a bikini and she looked like culturally flawless, perfect. And a swimsuit is like such a hard point for me. I don't even know why, honestly, but in a swimsuit, I feel like so weird. Like just like one little thing I can pinpoint is you know how when a girl wears a one-piece swimsuit, like I don't know how people get these bikini lines that are invisible, but like my hair follicles are not invisible. I feel like I could shave off the first 6 layers of my skin and you're still going to see those hair follicles. And I don't know
Mm.
how. And I just focus in on those little points. And I'm like, wow, she looks like she doesn't have a hair follicle on her body. And
Mm.
then I feel like you said like the fight or flight response. And I just refuse to wear a swimsuit.
Mm.
And I listened to your episode on just wear the swimsuit. Like don't let a swimsuit like keep you from enjoying your life. And I want to do that. And I think like what you said in that episode about finding a swimsuit that fits you and not trying to fit into like I need to look like a flawless athletic model when I wear a swimsuit or I need to wear a bikini. Like I don't have to wear a swimsuit that shows my bikini line because to me it feels so exposed. I hate it. I
Mm.
absolutely hate it. So maybe that's one part of why I hate swimsuits. But I don't know, seeing her look perfect in her swimsuit holding her baby, that's brand new baby. And I'm just like, I didn't just have a baby and I don't even close to look like that.
Yeah. So what does she win?
Okay, so I imagine in my head, I never went to public school in high school or anything, but I always imagine if I walk into the beach or the pool by the pool with my swimsuit on, I'm gonna get like food thrown at me, like getting, you know how
Mm.
kids get like thrown in movie scenes, like thrown out of the
Mhm.
cafeteria, booed out of the
Mhm.
cafeteria. Like it's just like the secret fear that maybe I'll get booed out of the pool.
Yeah.
Or maybe some little kid, because you know, little kids will say whatever.
Mhm.
Some little kid will say, why are you so fat and ugly?
Mhm.
And then I'll have to deal with that in front of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And none of I mean, like, so it's pretty implausible that any of that would happen, right? I mean, okay, little kid comment that, that can always happen, right?
Yeah.
Um, but could you survive it?
Yeah. I think I would be red cheeked and sweating,
Mm.
but I think I would survive.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, Presley, like, I don't want to say this in any way that diminishes like the very real fear around that, right? But Jesus was despised and rejected. Like, why
Yeah.
do we believe that rejection would kill us? Right? Like, he was despised and rejected on our behalf so that forever and ever in all of eternity, we don't have to be despised or rejected. Right? It's like that verse in, I think it's in Galatians, like if I were still trying to please man, I wouldn't be pleasing God. Right? Like to think about a little, so let's just kind of zoom out. We're worrying about a situation that hasn't happened yet. First of all, right? Like we have anxiety over a possible situation. It doesn't, where it's not guaranteed to happen, right?
Yeah.
But to let a possible random little kid comments stop you from going to a water park or getting in the pool with your kids, stop you from
Right.
engaging your children this summer,
Ah,
like to
yeah.
let the possibility of someone saying something like steal that from you, like that just doesn't sound holy at all. That kind of sounds like the enemy, right?
Yeah. That makes me mad.
Yeah, it kind of should, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, so let's face the worst fear. Okay. the little kid says to you, you get in the pool and the little kid says, ew, you're too fat to wear a bathing suit. And then like we're just going to nightmare scenario here, okay, Prez? And then
Yeah.
everyone's standing around, all the other people start pointing and they're like, ew, kids ogre, get out of the pool, get out of the pool. Like this is total nightmare. Okay.
It is. It sounds really familiar.
You had this nightmare, right? Like would it's never gonna happen. Okay. But
Yeah.
would you be okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why that reminded me of Shrek
It totally
because
is Shrek. Well, hideous ogre, I think I said.
yeah. And he was fine with being an ogre.
Yeah. And so is Fiona.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I couldn't believe when she didn't kiss him to keep the spell on to be beautiful. I thought that was the worst decision ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you said about Jesus, and I thought about him being totally exposed on the cross,
Mm,
naked, because that's like kind of near the root of the fear of being exposed naked and judged for how your body looks in a swimsuit.
right.
It still scares me, but like thinking about him being totally exposed for us, it it gives it a different depth of meaning. If somebody were to raise their eyebrow or pull their face in disgust, I think I would, if I could remember that, I would be, and also thinking about what you said about taking it as the enemy trying to steal moments from my kids and myself by keeping me afraid to actually live, that would also help. Because, like you said, I don't think it would be that bad. Even if a kid did say that and everybody turned and pointed, and all the bodybuilders and the Fitspo influencers pointed at me and said, gross, get out of here. I
Right.
think I would just, I don't think I would be, I think I would be sad that they reacted that way. And my face probably would turn red and I would start sweating. But I think I would mostly feel bad for them that they are seeing things in that way and putting that high of an importance on how somebody looks in a swimsuit.
Right. Right. I mean, if that would happen, right, that's just cruel behavior, right? Okay, like kids don't know better. Okay. I mean, they're learning, hopefully. They've got people to teach them, right? But if an adult is acting like that, that's cruel, right? That's akin to um any other kind of like abuse, right? I mean, that would be the same
Yeah.
as like you getting in the pool and everyone like, taking a shot at you, like, everyone's slapping you or
Yeah.
something like that, right? Because that the
Yeah.
verbal response would be just as damaging as any kind of like physical abuse, right? And so to cash it out as like for that to happen, that would be pretty severe, right? That
Yeah.
would be pretty severe. Um, but I mean, like goodness, like it's protecting. Here's how what I want to think about here. You feel like you're trying to keep yourself safe, right? And
Yeah.
it's not really like physically safe, although I know you do have some special situations around where you live where that's actually a consideration, but
Yeah.
it's kind of socially safe, right?
Yeah. Socially safe. That's the one I'm scared of. I'm more scared of socially safe than physically safe
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what happens if you're not socially safe? What happens if you're rejected? What happens if you're not accepted? Like I would encourage you in your homework to really process through that. Like, what's going to happen to me? If, and you can use the pool scenario or a scenario at your mother-in-law's house or any other scenario. Um, but like, what is the worst that's going to happen? If I show up and I'm fully engaged here, at the barbecue at my mother-in-law's and I'm talking to people and I'm engaging my sister-in-laws and I'm asking them like more important questions about their lives than how they got their shoulders to be skinnier.
Yeah.
I'm really engaging. Like what's the worst that's going to happen? Right?
Right.
Presley, you can't talk to us because you don't know how to make your shoulders skinnier. Like it's
Yeah.
probably not gonna happen. But I mean, if it did, it would hurt for sure. But I think you'd be okay. And maybe you'd even just be sad. Like, well, that's kind
Yeah, I
of a
would.
shame, right? Like that
Yeah.
that we can't have a conversation because I don't want to talk about getting thinner shoulders. Like what? Like that makes me feel sad and disconnected. And honestly, Presley, like so many women that go through like our 40-day journey and coaching, like this is a pretty common scenario because you go back to maybe even your family, right? In your case, it's family, right? But or you go back to that group of friends and everyone's talking about the diets, everyone's talking about like how to thin the parts out. And you do
Yeah.
feel this like sense of like I don't like disconnection, but also like maybe even just like a hollowness. Like, oh, this is all we talk about? Like, don't we
Yeah,
have
for
more
real.
interesting things to talk about? So that's a normal thing that happens for a lot of women that kind of go on this freedom journey. It's like it's really like becoming a Christian for the first time where you go back to your non-Christian friends and they're like, why don't you want to do all this stuff with us? Why don't you want to talk like us? And you're like, yeah, that doesn't really resonate anymore. And they're like, I don't get you.
Yeah.
You
Thanks for
know?
getting out is just like that. Because like a few times when I've tried to talk to people about um being free of dieting, or people bring up dieting in front of me and I'll just say, oh yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm actually really happy. And like I'll try to talk about things and they're like not ready to give up the body, or they're not ready to give up the ideal of what they could be, the dream. They're not willing to give
Right,
up the dream.
right, right. And you have started the process of giving up the fake dream, the dream that you know actually can't deliver for a better, more authentic dream, right? Which is what does God have planned for me? What are God's desires for my life? Like
Right. Something.
something real, right? That changing your body was never going to give you.
How can I forget that? That's so annoying. How could I forget?
Well, I think you're not alone because these messages are coming at you from every direction all the time, right? And so let's go back to step one, right? It's hard to remember that when you're in envy, right?
Yeah.
So take care of the envy. Like, remember, God made you on purpose for his purpose. He has something for you to do. It does not help you to try to get in a competition with your sisters in laws, right? Because that's not like that's a fake competition. There is no like competition where it's like someone's going to choose a winner. Oh, sorry, Presley, you're in third place. There's no podium, there's no like medals, there's no flowers, there's no crowns. Like none of that exists here on the earth in
I
terms of
think
competition. Go ahead.
wasn't thinking of it. I wasn't thinking of it so much as like a direct competition, but it was more like I want to be in their league. And it like instantly comes to mind Mean Girls. Like I want to sit with Regina George,
Mm-hmm.
and I look like that scary kid in the back. Nobody wants to sit next to. And I wanted to be like in that moment, I think, oh no, I'm not allowed at the cool table. But
Mm-hmm.
it's all in my head. Like I've made myself not allowed at the cool table because what I'm thinking is going on that's actually not. And even if it were, like we said, how sad if I'm really not allowed.
Right. Right. And I mean, to the Mean Girls scenario, right? Like it wasn't just sad that they weren't allowed, like they were just downright cruel, right? Like that
Yeah,
wasn't laudable, praiseworthy behavior, right?
right.
Like you could be one of those, but then you're kind of becoming a villain in a way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then the other thing, oh, Presley, I want to push it just a little bit here, okay? And this is so common for those of us with these issues because they go back to our preteen, teen years. There's no cool kids table. You're an adult.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, I'm going to say this with so much love, but truth and love, right? Grow up,
Yeah,
grow
I need
up,
to.
right? There's no cool kids table. It doesn't exist. Okay.
It's true.
Like, I think this is where spiritual maturity comes in, right? Like, that's not a good life goal. To be accepted by the mean girls, to be accepted by the girls who look like they have it together. And I mean, I'm saying girls, but we really mean women, right? Adult women, right?
Right.
Like, and I don't know to what scenario, like, I mean, everyone has people in their lives that are still living that out, right? That are still trying to be the cool kids, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not that
absolutely.
just we need to get over it. Like, chances are the people that you want to emulate are still stuck there too, right? But we got to let it go. Like there's no crown in heaven for getting to the cool kids table.
Yeah. Yep. Out loud. That's why coaching and like the 40-day journey, everything is so good because out loud, exposed, that makes sense.
Mm.
But like in my head, it's so real and so heavy. And I could just sit alone in my head with that forever and
Yeah.
never get past it. But just saying it out loud, exposing it, yeah, growing up sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Growing
Okay.
out
So
of that sounds good.
here's your homework as we close, right? Okay. I want you to take care of the envy problem. Okay. And if there's anyone else, um, like sometimes have clients like write down a list of all these people that are popping into your head that you were kind of envying. And they might not even be people you
Yeah,
know. It might be people like flashing by on the internet for you. Um, so take care of the
absolutely.
envy, right?
Yeah,
And then maybe do some journaling around like who Presley was before when Presley was chasing diets, when Presley was chasing the cool kids table, like however you want to like phrase that, right? But like who you were before and who God wants you to be, what God asks you to focus on. And just think about those two things and start, just see like what else he shows you um in that, right? It's hard work to grow up. It
yeah, it
hurts,
is. It doesn't come naturally.
right? It's not natural. It hurts, right?
Yeah,
But I think you're on the right track.
feels
you
like it.
know, I think bringing this to the light, like you said, makes a difference. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to hear what happens next time you get together with the in-laws, okay?
yeah. I will keep a mental journal
Yeah, yeah.
of it.
That sounds good. Okay. Well, you feel like you know what to do? Got your charge.
Yep. Remember the truth.
Remember the truth. Yeah, that's a good note to end on. Presley, thanks so much for your courage and being coached today and for sharing so vulnerably.
Thank you for being my coach.
Thank you for watching or listening today. I hope something today has helped you stop comparing and start living. Bye-bye. The Compared to Podcast is proud to be part of the Life Audio Podcast Network. For more great Christian podcasts, I hope you'll go visit lifeaudio.com. Hey, if this coaching call has encouraged you, you can get coaching too. Reach out, improvebodyimage.com or Heather at comparedtoyou.me and find out more about the coaching we offer.